Antarctica is cold, brutal, dark, and frozen. And that's where penguins live. Right? That's what most people assume. But right now, thousands of penguins are waddling across Australian beaches, not in a zoo, not as some quirky tourist attraction. Wild penguins, living, breeding, and thriving on the shores of one of the world's warmest continents. So how did they get there? The answer reaches back millions of years and completely flips the story of where penguins actually come from. Let's start with the obvious question. How many penguin species even exist? There are 18, and a surprising number of them have a direct connection to Australia, either breeding on the Australian mainland, on its remote sub-Antarctic islands, or within the vast stretch of East Antarctica that falls under Australian territory. That's not a coincidence. It's actually a clue. For a long time, scientists believed penguins originated in Antarctica. It made sense on the surface. That's where we most associate them. But a major genomic study conducted by researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, in collaboration with scientists and institutions around the world, upended that assumption entirely. The team analyzed blood and tissue samples from all 18 penguin species, using that genetic data to trace the birds' movement and evolution across millions of years. What they found was startling. Penguins didn't come from Antarctica. They originated in Australia and New Zealand approximately 22 million years ago. That changes everything. Think about what that means. The birds we picture, huddled on sea ice, surrounded by blizzards, they evolved in temperate waters. The ocean temperatures around Australia and New Zealand at the time were roughly 9 degrees Celsius. Not tropical, but nowhere near freezing either. And from that starting point in the South Pacific, penguins went on one of the most remarkable expansions in the history of birds. Here's where things get interesting. The ancestor of the king and emperor penguin, the two largest species, split off early and pushed south, drawn toward the food-rich waters of Antarctica. Meanwhile, another branch of the penguin family took a very different path. About 12 million years ago, the Drake Passage, the body of water separating Antarctica from the southern tip of South America, fully opened. This created a circular ocean current that swept around the bottom of the world. Penguins rode it. They spread outward to sub-Antarctic islands, then up the coast of South America, eventually reaching the Galápagos Islands, which sit directly on the equator. So the same family of birds that evolved in 9-degree Australian waters now spans environments ranging from sub-zero Antarctic ice to 26-degree tropical ocean. That range is almost unbelievable. And it all started in Australia. But let's come back to the penguins actually living in Australia today, because they're fascinating in their own right. The little penguin is the smallest penguin species in the world, barely bigger than a bowling pin. They nest in burrows along Australia's southern coastline, on Phillip Island, at Sydney's Manly Beach, on Penguin Island in Western Australia. Each morning they head out to sea to hunt fish and crustaceans, traveling up to 20 kilometers in a single day. After dark, they return home in groups, scurrying across the beach in what's become known as the Penguin Parade. And then there are the remote islands. Macquarie Island, a windswept outcrop 1,500 kilometers south of Tasmania, hosts over 70,000 king penguins. It also hosts the royal penguin, a species found nowhere else on Earth. The king penguin, for its part, has one of the strangest breeding cycles in the animal kingdom. From the moment an egg is laid to the moment the chick is ready to leave, the process takes up to 16 months, longer than any other penguin species. And the chicks look so different from their parents, with their thick brown down coats, that early European explorers genuinely believed they were a separate species. They called them woolly penguins. Here's the part that should stay with you. Penguins have proven themselves to be extraordinarily adaptable across geological time. It took millions of years and countless small genetic changes in how their blood vessels regulate temperature, how their bodies bind oxygen during deep dives, how they process salt water, for them to spread across such wildly different environments. But the researchers who uncovered this history were quick to add a warning. The same study that traced penguins' remarkable journey also flagged what's coming. Climate change is moving far faster than evolution can. The process that allowed penguins to colonize everything from Australian coastlines to Antarctic ice took millions of years. The oceans are warming in decades. Some penguin colonies in Antarctica have already declined by more than 75% over the past 50 years. The world's second largest emperor penguin colony has nearly disappeared, so the next time you see footage of penguins on an Australian beach, and remember that these birds began their entire global journey from waters just like those. It's worth sitting with the full weight of that. They built something extraordinary over an unimaginable stretch of time. The question now is whether we give them enough time to keep going.